Passing over that rather disturbing analogy, the next fact of the Brony fanbase is that there's tons of merchandise of many different types being sold with a popularity that rises like wildfire. Not because it requires any skill to create, that is for sure. The Bronies also have BronyCon, a convention where people congregate to be fanboys over My Little Pony. Even some go as far to bring fursuits that have been custom made to resemble the ponies. The Bronies also roleplay, but not on a massive scale. I still see it occasionally myself, though I have even come across it group roleplay sessions that take place on YouTube and on chatty sessions that I have infiltrated. Bronies also make their own original characters using their pony creator. All it really was is using the same basic body layouts, adding some color and hairstyles, and BAM! You have your own pony sona. That kind of reminds me of the Sonic fags a little bit, but oh well. The Bronies have a very strong inclination to overreact to comparisons made between they and the cloppers, but never seem to want to answer any questions that would require them to accept any kind of similarity to furries or cloppers, big or small. In other words, when asked to prove that they are different, they avoid the question, which might be that there are very few differences, but some try to use the results of surveys in an attempt to prove that the percentage of cloppers is actually very low. However, I happen to know that a lot of these surveys filter certain information and sources. They do not go where there are sure to be cloppers, which is to say that they avoid porn sites, which is where you would most likely find them. I have no reason to believe that a lot of bronies who claim not to be cloppers don't stray to these websites themselves every so often. There was one survey, if you want to call it that didn't have so much filtering, partially because they were not being supervised, nor did anyone really know what they were up to. I think. I'm referring, of course, to Howard Stern's little excursion into BronyCon, where an interviewer asked questions that were not controlled by the media gatekeeping, and the things they said prove everything that people would need to know about how many of those bronies are actually cloppers. The thing that a lot of people don't seem to understand about the random sample of surveys is that they are usually not actually random. The organizers of BronyCon restrict certain types of questions from being asked so as to protect the bronies from a negative mass media outlook, which is exactly what they do at FurryCon as well. But everyone knows that what furries actually are, so the gatekeeping doesn't actually go that far, and the people know that there is a lie to see through in regards to FurryCon. Anyway, for online surveys that allow people to just come and go, well, they are very vulnerable to inaccuracies. The sample is definitely random and by chance, but there are a lot of bronies who would lie about themselves to make the fanbase look good. But then again, lots of people do that anyway. Don't put it past the bronies to call some of their buddies to fill out the surveys with the same intention too. In fact, some bronies may even go back for a second or third go. That can work both ways, and I have seen bronies accuse their haters of posing as bronies and filling out these surveys to make the brony fanbase look bad. There is a specific survey that will go unnamed that I am actually referring to here, and the basic question that is posed was, are you interested in My Little Pony in a sexual way, or are you not? The apparent results of the survey said that only 13% of bronies admit to being cloppers. Now, of course, I don't know how large the sample actually was, and that does make a huge difference, but do not miss the key word here. Only 13% of bronies admit to being cloppers. The numbers are very inconsistent here because some bronies have told me that there is as little as 5% of bronies that admit to being cloppers. Unless the percentage is quickly rising, I think that the inconsistencies here suggest that the current number is much higher than some would suggest. There have been many polls for the furries too that are similar, but those are inaccurate and outdated. You get the truth out if you approach them individually. Trolls have had plenty of time to do this, and I wonder why it is only the Bronies who say that all of the data that the trolls have gathered is false. I won't pretend to have a number to put on it, but I'm getting off topic here. The Bronies have many websites dedicated to the show and their art. Some of those websites used to belong to the furries, but the pony fags took over and flooded them with torrents of pony porn. The Bronies highly anticipate further installments of their beloved show, and I'm not saying it is wrong to be a fan of a show, but to take it to the extent of donating several $1,000s to a homemade thank you advertisement so that it can be aired on the Hub network is a little bit much, don't you think? And speaking of such public devotion to the show, I want to bring up the Lauren Faust here. There are rumors circulating about how she's a feminist, and certainly her primarily female main characters might suggest that it is true, especially since a lot of the males seem to be either stupid, careless, or helpless. But maybe she stepped down because she realized that the Bronies were doing what they were... she realized what they were doing, and what they were turning the show into. Maybe it wasn't even anything to do about feminism. Perhaps it was just disgust or shame. But either way, she had to leave for a reason, that top position, and I don't think it had anything to do with money. I will show you her farewell notice towards the end of the video. However, when you read it, make sure to look for the indication that she left because she was losing her control over the ideas and changes that were attributed to the show. In other words, I am saying that she left because of a selfish reason. She seems to be possessive and far too concerned with her own fame and reputation. I understand that art does tend to warrant some pride, but vanity is something far different. For you anti-bronies, you might like to see the little euphemism for hate mail that she mentioned. And in case you also missed this, she called the support from bronies an unlikely place, which does not send which does send a subtle message, but I doubt she will convey what that message actually was if there is a chance that she will lose some of her fame. It goes without saying, though, that it's the ponies that the bronies care about, not who created them. As the popularity of the show grows or lingers, the support and affection for Lauren Faust will undoubtedly wither and die. I know very few people who don't take things like this for granted, but they will always remain ungrateful, and they will always bite the hand that feeds when told they are wrong. I think Lauren Faust may have seen this too, but she is just as greedy and cowardly as the rest. But enough of that. Let's compare and contrast, shall we? I will start with comparing here, since everyone always wants to hear the bad news first. The Bronies and Furries have the following in common: an interest in anthro characters, a fan base, a convention, lots of media, lots of porn, and I dare you to prove that they don't. Websites dedicated to the show's characters and so on. Role plays, fan fictions, wasted money on useless things like fursuits and thank you ads. A dark side to blame for their problems, along with a similar reaction to being compared with thus. Adaptation to troll means denial that they can do any wrong, the belief that the accusations of wrongdoing cast upon them are baseless, quote-unquote original characters, some connection to pedophilia and zoophilia, whether it be direct or arbitrary, misleading polls and surveys, a general reluctance to answer questions that require them to expose the dark truth, lying about loving and tolerating, overzealous defenders of the subgroups, which I didn't mention but will, and a similar path to destruction. Now let's contrast. The few differences that they have are as follows. the origins of the fanbase, the variety of characters and species, the current state and general perception from the general public, the reason to be ashamed, and I'm referring to liking a little girl's show as opposed to overly liking animalistic porn, the level of interest in the characters' bodies and personality, celebrity interest, and general media outlook. Now, for those few who don't deserve to be attacked with the rest, well, I really do mean that there are only a few that I know that deserve any degree of respect. I always say that there is no use trolling anyone who won't rage, and I stick to my word. Of these few, there is one in particular who I can actually say is cool and who I enjoy talking to, mainly because he does not actually think of himself as a brony, and because we've shared laugh at certain bronies and other idiots over Xbox Live. He fully understands the difference between liking a show and taking an interest too far. Of course, I'm talking about Ligit XX47, whose channel link is in the description. Give his channel a view and don't let the simple interest in the show fool you. The reason why I'm bringing him up is that the vast majority of bronies need some kind of role model to at least set an example for how they should be or how they can better themselves. We don't need another furry fandom, people, so stop pretending the bad shit isn't happening and do something about it if you feel so strongly that the bronies and furries are truly different. Anyway, one last thing that I said I would mention before I was through. There were lots of zealots in both fandoms, and I really had to save the best for last. Whenever you get the chance, look up Mr. Disambiguation, Wolfie Darkfang, Tommy Oss, Atomic Furries Global, Celtic Brony, Anthony the Horsefucker, and I'm sure that you will get plenty of related results that will keep you entertained for a while. I really can't say too much more here for the sake of keeping the video from getting too long and because I would rather not have this video taken down by flagging faggots. But do the research. It'll be worth the time if you are looking for a good laugh. And while you're at it, visit my channel and look at my Messengers of Truth. Give them a subscription and all that fine jazz. Or if you're too lazy to do that, I'll just post the links to their channels in the description too. And one more thing. While you are in the description, take a look at the other links about the type of shit that bronies get up to and that bronies ruin, much like the furries did. Then again, the bronies post so much shit about ponies that they have created a third Rule 34. If it exists, there's porn of it, there is an app for it, and now there is a pony for it too. Enjoy your tainted web browsing.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that? What is that, Private Pile?
Sir, jelly donuts, sir!
A jelly donut?
Sir, yes, sir!
How did it get here?
Sir, I took it from the mess hall, sir!
Is chow allowed in the barracks, Private Pile?
Sir, no, sir!
Are you allowed to eat jelly donuts, Private Pile?
Sir, no, sir!
And why not, Private Pile?
Sir, because I'm too heavy, sir!
Because you are a disgusting fat body, Private Pile!